It has been a hell of a week already for me, and I was counting on ReZero to give me that midweek push to rejuvenate me, to make me excited for the rest of the week, and goddamn did they deliver. Feels like you're always a broken record, and I know I'm not the only one. I see it constantly throughout different comment sections, social media. We feel bad saying it, but it's hard not to. But it feels like ReZero just keeps getting better. It feels like it should lose its appeal when you say this is the best episode of ReZero, because you're like, well, how can people take you seriously if you said that every week for the entire time season 2 as an example has been airing? But it feels like part 2 is just in such a league that where with season 1 and even a lot of part 1, it's easy for me to say best part of ReZero, no questions asked. I bring it up a lot. Rem's confession. I think, everything with part 2 with the trials, there's a lot of great key moments. But it feels like for a couple months now, it keeps getting better. You have two equally memorable sections with two equally interesting groups of characters. Emilia with her resolve to protect everyone. You leave the trials last week, it's snowing. What the hell? I thought Roswell was behind this. But Roswell's been sort of defeated, so there's no way he could have activated the snow. Did we miss something? No. He just set it up beforehand that, if the trials are over, it's going to happen. Snowfall's going to occur and the rabbits will come as per the gospel, which is the worst case scenario. And I was thinking last week, the only way for them to deal with the rabbits would be you would have to have Roswell defeat them. If we remember back in season 1, I think it was when Roswell originally leaves the mansion, he comes back just in time as Subaru's fighting for Rem and Ram's sake, and he launches a giant-ass explosion to deal with the mobbies. I thought that's how they could deal with it, but Roswell's pretty defeated. The most he's doing is just trying to keep Ram alive as he's contemplating life after Puck is saying, you're without a doubt the most skillful human who's ever existed, and right now you're kinda just pathetic. But to see Emilia, the one character I was like, there's no way she can defeat these rabbits, but for some reason I just accepted that Emilia wouldn't die there. That her fighting these rabbits, no issues. And you see by the end of the episode, she's willing to die for the people who originally pushed back against her, wanted Subaru to complete the trials, not her. To see her put her life on the line for an army that she knows damn well will kill her, but she will give her life gladly for these people who are believing and supporting her. And it didn't even really cross my mind that Beatrice would be the solution for the rabbits, because to me, Beatrice would have been the solution for Melee or something like that. Like, Subaru would convince someone like Beatrice to work with him, and that would how we would fix the mansion, and maybe Roswell would be how we defeat the rabbits. And Roswell could still be an added support, it's not impossible, but still, to see everything build up and to see that light shine behind her as you have Subaru holding Beatrice's hand after a very hard-fought victory there, I would argue probably one of the most difficult victories he's had to earn, which is basically a child who's been lost in a thought for 400 years that person has to be the one to save her, finally accepted that there is no that person, you're never going to notice that person, but I'm Subaru, even if it goes by in a blink of an eye, I can hold your hand all these days to make sure that I'm never forgotten, even if you live hundreds and hundreds of years past that. This show and the way they build up things, I think one of my most standout moments of this episode is the door, the last door that we use to get into Beatrice's library before she finally accepts Subaru as being Subaru, not needing to be that person or him needing to force feed her alive. That door, I think it was in the part 1 of season 2, it caused some pretty shitty things to happen. We're used to certain aspects about the Sanctuary arc and the Mansion storyline in season 2 into having something happen very negatively. But it's interesting how the author is able to take things that used to be a negative and turn them into a positive. If you'd have told me, a week or two after we initially saw the rabbits feed on our boy, that there would come a point that I would see these bastards again and I wouldn't be terrified, I would say you're a liar. Because there's no way. They made these rabbits to be the most ferocious and just horrifying things ever. And the way that we see Emilia say, I'm going to protect them, you're going to take these characters and I'm going to protect you. Even though logically I knew she couldn't do it by herself, I didn't for a minute think that she was going to lose. Not only just because the season's almost over, but because of the relationships and how many things have been resolved. There's no realistic way for the author to be able to kill these characters here and have you want to continue on unless you just like seeing suffering for the sake of suffering. So by taking an aspect that horrified us, I remember the reactions. It wasn't even just the memes. People were legitimately scared of these rabbits because it was gruesome. It was horrifying. And to see a scene where we're not scared of these rabbits, we have Subaru, arguably someone with no power in this situation. He wants round 2. He wants to change what's going to happen. Beatrice may not be enough to defeat everything. Emilia may not be enough, but maybe with the combined help they can do something, and maybe Roswell will snap to it before it's too late and deliver that final blow, accepting that, the gospel's gone and maybe it's time we start thinking for ourselves. There's 2 characters held down by their past, both Roswell and Beatrice. Beatrice is giving it an honest-to-go shot. Roswell still feels like he has a long way to go, and I think out of every character, seeing where Roswell will go in hopefully that season 3 might be the thing I'm most excited for. I think this episode was packed full of emotion. It really wasn't action at all. I think the most you really saw action-wise was Emilia use a couple of fun ice attacks, her moving along and freezing some rabbits. The most action part of the episode, I would argue, would be both the snowstorm and the fire, both of which are equally dangerous. The freezing can easily destroy everything and just move you so slow that the rabbits consume you, and the fire is self-explanatory. The whole building is going up in flames, and the fact that Subaru clinged on to opening up those doors, trying to find the library, and every time she'd throw him out. I think the conversation between Beatrice and Subaru, I think, was handled excellent. It's naturally supposed to invoke an annoyance from you because, she keeps repeating, "You're not that person. I've been waiting for that person. You will," and then even after, she accepts that she would love to stick by Subaru, Subaru lives a very short life. It's not going to be happy for her. This is a thought process that should be very hard to break. She's been sitting alone for 400 years. Even if Subaru makes complete sense both from her perspective and our perspective, this is a thought process that has her chained and pretty much broken. And it shouldn't be something that just because the main character says something smart, that other characters follow in their footsteps, right? No, they have to believe it. They have to truly break away from that corrupt thought process. And I think the number of times that he had to repeat himself without going hostile, I think at first he started treating Beatrice the same way that he was treating Emilia, which didn't work out well. She threw him away, and he had to readjust his thought process. Subaru's definitely gotten a lot more calculated with how he presents himself. He's not afraid to speak his mind, but he also understands when it's time to reel it back in the case of Beatrice, saying, "I can't be that person, but I am Subaru." And he throws logic at her while also being compassionate. The difference between how we ended last week with his conversation with her, being tossed out the library, compared to how we end this week, is night and day, and there's a nice evolution to the way he's talking with her, which makes that entire scene, while, yeah, it may have this annoyance, but that annoyance is there on purpose because she's a character who is delusional by a blank book and a promise of that person, right? Just accept that Subaru is Subaru and you enjoy Subaru's company, right? And it was just so interesting seeing just the backstories and the build-up and seeing the number of, Roswell's kind of going into that library and the number of people trying to drag her out, and just the difference between Subaru spouting some dating sim logic of oh, here's random civilian. It's just so great to see what they were able to do, and to see an episode that should be hopeless, where the mansion alone was enough to terrify us. The bunnies and the frozen forest was another. To have both of those at their absolute worst feel okay, to feel like it has to work out. They have to. There's still the chance of certain characters dying. I mean, Ram was doing quite bad, and there was even the chance of someone like Beatrice just going out. There was a couple of close calls, and they did have me sweating a couple of times saying, wait, are we actually going to fail? But once you get back to that normal thought process, and you're not consumed by raw emotions, you really understand where this arc wants to end. And it's great to see the things that used to terrify us now invoke a sense of hope and optimism. I say it a lot, and I can't help it, nor can any fan of ReZero, it feels like. This show's a masterpiece. It gets better with time, and these extra long episodes, it's a blessing, and I am so excited to see how it's all going to conclude next week. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, your favorite moment if you can pick one, and where do you think this whole craziness is going to go with the final episode of Season 2 next week. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, show your support, and hit that subscribe button if you have been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.